to Temple Games. I am your host, Timothy Harper, and in this, I am bringing back Temple Talks. That's right, I'm bringing back a new version of the Temple Talk. It was kind of like a podcast I did, or more of a discussion based when I went over some general stuff. But I think it's about time I bring this back, so I'm going to try to aim for this every Saturday. Basically about the news of the week for Nintendo. That's the focus of it. It's going to be for Nintendo. So let's get started because we have some big Nintendo news. Because it was a big week for Nintendo news. The financial report got released. So there's a lot, and E3 plans also got released. So let's get started. On the left, as you can see, are the topics we're going to be discussing: sales, changing of the guard. Who is for? I'm going to mispronounce the game, so I'm going to call him Mr. F. First-party game sales, online service, and E3 2018 plans. Chapter times will be down below. That way you can jump around to which ones you actually care about more. So let's get started with sales. That's right, Nintendo just released its financial report for the year. So it tells you how many units of Switches have been sold, 3DS, software sales, all that stuff. So let's get started with, obviously, the big one, Nintendo Switch. It is currently sold, as of the end of March, 17.79 million. So 18 million units probably to this date have been sold in the world. And that's crazy because I believe the Wii U in 5 years did about 14 million. Which is crazy to think that the Switch has almost done 20 million units in its first year. It is ridiculous how well Nintendo is doing with this. It just also shows how their software sales, overall software sales are at 68.97, so 69 million units of their software has been sold in the world, and that includes third parties as well. I also go a little bit about the 3DS, which we'll get into a little bit later, which has sold 72.53 million units, which is why Nintendo has announced that it will continue to support 3DS from on to 2019 and beyond. So, kind of disappointed by that. I kind of get it. I kind of don't. The 3DS needs to go. And I'm sorry for all you lovers of 3DS, but it needs to go. It's time. So yeah, like I said, 3DS, 72.53 million units. Nintendo 3DS software sales are 364.89 million units. You can thank Pokemon for that, most likely, but that's coming to the Switch sometime later this year or in 2019, which will be exciting to see. So overall, as you can see with the sales, hardware and overall software sales, the Switch is in a healthy place, the 3DS is in a healthy place, Nintendo is healthy. That is what they really want to come across, and they have some big goals. As of what they said, they want to reach another 20 million units sold by the end of next March. So at the end of 2019, in March, they want another 20 million. So we could potentially be looking at Nintendo having sold 37.79 million units of the Switch in 2 years, which is amazing. It's rivaling the Wii levels, and it's going to probably eclipse the N64 and probably the PlayStation at some point, and start catching up on the PS4 in Japan as you look at the Media Crate sales for that. So yeah, that's the only thing, but that's not the only thing that came out. There's a lot of things that came out of this event, and big one was the changing of the guard, which was the end of Toshima Kimishima as the CEO of Japan's Nintendo. He is stepping down. Really retiring at this point. People think that, oh, he did something wrong. I can't believe what'd he do? Nothing. I don't believe he did anything wrong. He is 68 years old, and that is retirement age in Japan, so he is probably just stepping down. He was never supposed to be the long-term president after Iwata's death. God bless you, Iwata, for all you've done. So he was more of an interim president. So who was replacing him? Well, Satoru Furukawa. I am horribly pronouncing that. I have to wait till someone says that in a direct before I get that name. It took me a while for Kimishima as well, so I'm going to call him Furukawa. I'm sorry for all you Japanese-speaking audience. I'm sorry. We'll be replacing him in the end of June. So Kimishima's there until after E3. So once E3 comes around, that's when Furukawa is really starting to get. We'll talk about Furukawa in a second because there's a lot of information about him that seems interesting. So we'll get back to him a little bit. But also what was interesting to me was Satoru Shibata is leaving Europe, Nintendo of Europe. He was like the big wig like Reggie in the United States. He's the big wig in Europe, and he is actually being promoted. He's stepping down from the post, but he's being promoted to a senior advisory board in Japan. No word yet on who is replacing him in Europe. There was rumors going around that it is a European of some kind, which makes sense. Have the three pillars each represent their countries: like American for the United States, European for Europe, a Japanese for Japanese. It would make sense. They know their markets, which is very, very nice. So, who is Furukawa? Well, he's really not a game developer. He has really very minor game experience. He's actually an expert in marketing. That's really what he is. That looks like what he was trying to do. He played a key role on the Switch, which to me is probably the marketing aspect of it. If I had to guess on what his key role was, because the market of this Switch was amazing when it first launched. You had that trailer, you had the 6 months window. It was really, really cool. So that's what apparently he has close ties to the Pokemon Company, which is kind of like his gaming experience, I suppose. I guess he was like an overseas Nintendo relations board with him. Not too aware of that relationship, but they did announce that he had some close ties with the Pokemon Company at one point, which maybe that's why Pokemon decided to put Pokemon on the Switch. Who knows? Another thing that's really big is he spent 1/3 of his career overseas, and they say in Germany in this report. So he does have that global knowledge of, okay, well, I wouldn't say global. He knows some of the knowledge, I suppose. So probably the next two biggest accomplishments for this CEO going forward is he is fluent in English. So English is mostly become the universal language of the world, and he's fluent in it. So imagine Satoru Iwata. Yes, he had the accent real good, but he could also speak English quite well. So I could see him becoming more of a face like Takazumi, or I'm blanking on his name. The guy with the hat, the Mario hat. The one in Directs right now who I love, and he should stay in the Directs. He's the best one they have. And the second thing going for him is he's young. He's a very young CEO. He's 46 years old. To put in perspective, Iwata, when he took over Nintendo, he was 42. So they're really looking at the long-term goal here, which is what they need to do, is something long-term. You keep changing CEOs in and out, things aren't going to go the right way. Things are going to get changed on the fly. It's not healthy for any business to have a keep changing the CEO. So I'm glad they picked a young one. And to put also in perspective, Kimishima is 68 years old. So this is truly changing of the guard. The era of the older Nintendo is moving out, as you can also see that with the CEOs, but also with their game developers. As you have heard many times, Nintendo is focusing on the younger developers, taking control of their franchise. Miyamoto has stepped away from a lot of what he's done. He's moving on towards the amusement park and other aspects of that. So that is good to see. Nintendo is thinking long term, they're thinking future, and the Switch is part of that. So that is awesome. And probably another key note is they asked him what is his current favorite game, and he said Golf Story. So if you're a fan of Golf Story and you love that game and you know why you love that game, he likes that game too. So he knows good games. So I have faith in him. I expect we'll probably see him at E3. I'm hoping we see him at E3 just to say, hello, I'm the new CEO. Hello, hello, hello. But we'll see if he's as zany as Iwata was. Those puppets and the robot chicken. I'll never forget those E3s. So let's move on to first-party game sales. Now, like I said, this is first-party. Third parties were not really announced how much they've sold on the Switch. That is per company basis, which a lot of those should be coming out shortly, as it is this is usually the time when all of those reports come out. So they have a total of 8 games listed. That's right, 8 games listed. We're going to go from the ones who haven't sold the most to the most. Now, let me just say this. The 8 games they're showing off have all sold over 1 million games. That is incredible for any Nintendo console. Now, almost all of their first-party games have sold over 1 million copies. It is ridiculous, and we're going to go into some of them that have even broke their own record. So let's get started with number 8 is Kirby Star Allies. That's right, just released in March of this year, has sold 1.26 million units. It is ridiculous how much this game has sold already, and it's the best-selling game in the franchise. And also to note, they also noted that Bayonetta 2 sold better on the Switch than on the Wii U, which is crazy. So it shows the Switch has some power to it when buying games. So Kirby and Bayonetta are the best selling in their franchise. That's awesome. Your Bayonetta 3 is sometime coming out probably in 2019, which is awesome to hear. Up next is number 7, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. 1.31 million units. It is the best-selling Xeno game ever. Anything with a Xeno title, Xenogears, Xenoblade. I forget, there's a third one I'm missing off the top of my head, but it is the best-selling Xeno game ever, which is awesome. And that's nice. For something that was such a niche game that people thought, oh, it's going to get delayed, it ain't going to come out in 2017, it came out. And I bought it, I played it, you've seen it, I'm playing it still. It's an awesome game. And then the new IP, how did that do? ARMS? Well, it almost sold 2 million units, and that's really good for a new IP. It sold 1.85 million units, which is really, really cool. For a new IP to do that, you can darn sure that a sequel is coming soon. I wouldn't say anytime soon. I'd probably say about 3 years. We'll get another ARMS sequel. It's here to stay. ARMS, for something that was so crazy, so niche, something that was mind-boggling at first time you saw it. That's cool. But so next one after ARMS, so number 5, which I really wish this game was not on this list because it does not deserve it. 1-2 Switch is number 5, and it sold 2.29 million units. I don't know how it did it. I don't know what people thought. I think it's because it was just a launch title for the Switch. People got it. Shouldn't have got this game. This is probably the worst game out of the first party lineup, in my opinion. And when I say first party, it doesn't count Mario Rabbids, because that game was amazing too. That should be on. I wish this game was on the list. I wish I could figure out how many this was. That'd be nice. So there is that. 1-2 Switch. We're gonna move that because that just needs to go. So, and obviously the top 4 games, you probably already know, so let's start. Coming at number 4, Splatoon 2 came at number 4 with 6.02 million units. So there was a big gap between number 5 and number 4 by at least like about 4 million units. Splatoon, and that's mostly because of its appeal in Japan. Japan is loving Splatoon 2. That's why there is so much support. That's why they have continued to support it. And their Splatfest coming up is a TMNT Splatfest for your favorite turtles. Leonardo, you are going to win that. And also, just to point this out, it has sold better than the original game. So Splatoon 2, who was claimed to be a port of Splatoon, and it was not really a true sequel, has done better than what Splatoon 1 did on the Wii U, which is crazy to think. So congratulations, Splatoon 2. This is a new IP that Nintendo took a chance on. Their younger developers took a chance on, and it's done well. So that's awesome to hear. At number 3, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yes, that came at number 3 with 8.48 million units just on the Switch. If you combine that, it's closer to about 10. Well, not closer to 10, about 9.5 million units total for this game. But we're only going to focus on Switch because I don't want to talk about Wii U. Wii U is dead. Wii U will never come back. There are some great games, but they're all coming to the Switch, so that's exciting to hear. And also a note, excuse me, also a note, The Legend of Breath of the Wild is the best-selling Zelda game in the franchise. It has surpassed Twilight Princess, and it's only in its first year of sales. That is ridiculous to hear. So congratulations, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Game of the Year. It was a big year for Nintendo with that, and that game will continue to do well. I think that's going to be a really good game to get. And I think that's what people. I think that and these next 2 games are what people really get when they first buy a Switch. So let's go with number 2, the second best-selling game in Nintendo for the first year. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the port game of a Wii U game, is 9.22 million units. Ridiculous. It has sold more than the Wii U version. It is crazy. The Wii U version, which sold gangbusters, I think it was like 8.7. The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold its first year. Its first year has sold more than what the Wii U did. This is why they port their Wii U games over, guys. It's not just, oh, it's another port. Oh, it's another port. They get a second life on the Switch, which is exactly why they do it. And you know what? I can't argue against ports because they're making money off that. I mean, think about it. 9.22 million units sold. So times that by what, $60 is ridiculous. Like I think I'm actually going to do the math right now while I'm talking, because it is ridiculous. Like how much. I'm not going to do the math. I'm too much work. But 9.22 million is a ridiculous number for a Mario Kart game, and that is pretty much all money is probably going to go to Mario Kart 9 coming soon. I don't see it anytime. I think maybe at the next E3 we might get a hint of Mario Kart, but definitely at this year E3 we'll talk about E3 2018 plans or any E3 prediction video coming down the pike. But yeah, so good job Mario Kart, you deserve it. What's then the number one best-selling game, which is this game has sold gangbusters, and I don't know how I did it. Super Mario Odyssey. Yes, the plumber is the number one selling game on the Nintendo Switch first-party lineup at 10.41 million units. Let's break that number down a little bit. Super Mario Odyssey has only been on the market for 5 months. 5 months has this game been on the market, and it's already over 10 million units. It is ridiculous how well this game is selling. The attach rate, if you look at what's on, how many the Switch is sold, so about 18 million. Over half of Nintendo Switch users and owners own either Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Super Mario Odyssey, or both. They probably own both, which is ridiculous. I had just referred the Switch to my friend who doesn't really play video games. He's been out of the market for a long time, and he's finally got one. He got this. He got Stardew Valley and Mario Kart, and he loves it. He says it's a great system, probably one of the best systems ever made. So there's definitely some staying power with Super Mario Odyssey, and I expect there's going to be some DLC coming soon for that game. So I expect that at E3. Again, we'll talk about E3 a little bit later on. And coming up next is the online service. Now, they didn't announce this in their financial report. It kind of came out in a kind of like a press release. It was very quiet. Early May is when we're going to get some more information about this online service. Now, we kind of have an idea of the price point. It's about $20 a year, which is super cheap compared to its competitors. I think Microsoft and Sony are about like $60, but Game Pass, only $10 a month. Maybe Nintendo... who knows? And it's still slated for September. That's a key note. It's not being pushed back. It's not being, delayed as some people were going to suspect it was going to be, but it's still slated for September, and it will be on the website. There's going to be some more information coming on the website. There's not going to be a video, apparently. So that's kind of brings me to some concerns about this service. The reason I'm saying I have some concerns about it, because it can go either one or two ways. One, it could just be very subtle. It could be just, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to get. Or it could be, here's bad news before E3. Let's get all the bad news out first. So, like the price point, what's coming, no virtual console. There's a lot of concerns, and if Nintendo needs to do this right. If Nintendo decides to do this wrong, it could really, really hurt Nintendo coming forward, especially with third-party developers, because a lot of their games are online. Fortnite, Overwatch. If you screw up online, you're not getting those games. And I think Nintendo needs those games onto their consoles, because it would just bolster the system even more. So let's get down to the juicy of the E3 plans. Ooh, you've all been waiting for this one. I know you have. Their E3 plans, which is super exciting. They did announce their E3 plans, which consist of 4 major tentpoles, starting on June 11th. So that is the Monday before E3 actually opens, and it's at the Splatoon 2 World Championship, which will be taking place on June 11th, which is like the opening rounds, and then it will concede on June 12th in the finals. So pretty much nothing much to really talk about here. It's just Splatoon 2 World Championships. At E3, this is where they did the Nintendo World Championship, so it makes sense. Now, the big one, on the next day, June 12th, at noon Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, Nintendo will do their spotlight, video presentation, whatever you want to call it. They change the name every year, which I think is really kind of bad. And they said it's only going to focus on 2 things. Super Smash Bros., which I'm so excited about, and 2018 titles. So, Will they show Metroid? Will they show Bayonetta, Pokemon? They're going to. There's no way they're not going to show at least one of those three. So I would expect maybe one or two 2019 games to give some hope for the next year. I think that's what they did last year. They showed Metroid and they teased Pokemon. That's probably what they're going to do. So June 12th, at that time, there's going to be a major focus on Smash Bros. So if I had to guess how this is going to go, guys, is like the middle of the ground when they did that Legend of Zelda DLC last year. They're probably going to do Super Mario Odyssey DLC. I can see that being going there on that side. And then Smash Bros. Will probably end the direct. And then say stay tuned for the Treehouse, which will be coming on after this for the next 3 days. Treehouse will be talking about Switch gameplay of upcoming games, and Smash will be the highlight of that. So there's a lot going on with Smash, and that's how they're going to do it, with some sprinkles of games. They didn't say how long this direct is going to be, so that's a key point here. I think last year's presentation was only about 30 minutes, but they packed a lot. Rocket League was announced, Metroid, Pokemon, Smash, Pokken was there. There's a lot. So we're coming up in E3. There's a lot more. Like I said, the Treehouse is coming on after that. Smash will be the highlight, and of course, there's going to be a Smash Brothers Invitational right after the Splatoon 2 finals, so we get some live gameplay of that, which is going to be playable, by the way. Smash will be playable at E3, so if you're going to E3, that's probably the booth going to be set up. It's probably going to be focused on Smash, which will be awesome. I've loved what they've done with their E3 booths in the past 2 years with Zelda, Mario. That's awesome. And one more key note. No 3DS will be at this Nintendo E3, which is great. I am so happy. This is the second year in a row they've done this. Leave it to your direct for 3DS. There's not much to talk about. I am so happy. So happy that no 3DS is at this presentation, which is really, really good to see. But that was pretty much the week of Nintendo news. A lot of big announcements, and I wouldn't say big announcements, just some subtle ones that we have to take a look at for those who are interested in like sales numbers and the big corporation stuff like that. And obviously, E3 is coming right around the corner, guys. It is about a month and a half away from this time I post a video, which is super exciting. Again, I'll probably bring up an E3 prediction video coming up soon via another Temple Talk, as I like to call these. So stay tuned for that. But what do you guys think about Nintendo as a whole? Did they have a good year, or were they a disappointment to you? And what do you think about their upcoming 2018 year? Gotta remember, they're trying to sell 20 million units, so they have to have games to do that. So Smash has been announced for this year. Could it happen? We'll see. Let me know, guys, your thoughts below. And as always, follow me on Twitter, subscribe, ring the bell. It really helps me out. And join the conversation, guys. Would love to interact with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you later. Bye.